the footprints of Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam were printed, and they had the mark on this rock. Normally you stand on a rock, you don't have no footprints on it. But as Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam stood on it, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala miraculously made the stone so soft in such a way that although it's carrying Ibrahim alayhi salam, but at the same time the marks of the footprint of Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam are engraved in that stone. Of course, if you see it nowadays, it's very deep. It wasn't that deep. But by people touching it all the time, this is how deep it got. But now you can't touch it anymore because they have put it in a glass, inside some glass covering. So no one can touch it, but you can see it. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, after performing the 2 rak'ah salah, he again went towards the black stone, and he did the istilam, which is kissing the black stone or pointing towards it and saying Bismillahi Allahu Akbar, and then he went towards Safa. When Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam got close to Safa, he recited this ayah, Inna Safa wal Marwata min sha'airillah. Then he said to Sahaba Ridwanullahi alayhim ajma'in, Nabda'u bima bada Allahu ta'ala bih. We will also start with the same thing that Allah started with. Allah started the ayah with as-Safa. Inna Safa. He mentioned Safa first. So therefore we are going to start our sa'i with Safa first. And then we will be heading towards Marwa. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam went up on the Safa, and he raised his hands and started making dua. Some narrations say that he stood there for as long as a person can recite Surah Al-Baqarah, making dua. Imagine after all of that journey. And now he performed the tawaf. As soon as he came, he didn't go to rest. He performed the tawaf. Now he's there and he's making dua at the beginning of Safa and Marwa, at the beginning of the sa'i. And normally, really, I'm telling you with experience, that when you, even after, if a person will go after rest, you go, as soon as you get to Safa and Marwa, you look at it. I have to walk all the way to there and then make 7 rounds of it. So now you want to finish it quickly, you want to do something that you can get it done the fastest way possible, and therefore you no time to make dua. You want to run, rush and get it done. But here Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is standing there for so long that normally Sahaba say as much as a person it takes for a person to recite Surah Al-Baqarah. And after this dua, he continued going towards Marwa. In between, there are 2 green lines nowadays. In those days they had some different lines, but there are green lines nowadays telling us that this is the place where Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam reigned. And this is the sunnah, to run between those lines. And then at the second line, he stopped running. Each time he will come at that point, he would be running between those 2 lines. So it's the sunnah of doing it at that place. This sunnah is only for men. Is not for sisters, and it's not for women. The amazing part is that if we look at the background of it, the reason for the sunnah that was established was Hajra radiyallahu anha. When she was looking for water for herself and her son Ismail alayhi salatu wasalam, and when she used to get into that valley, this was a deep valley at that time, when she would get there, she would not be able to see her son Ismail alayhi salatu wasalam, so she would run there. And Allah loved that running and became sunnah. Now, a woman is running and becomes sunnah for men, not for women. The reason for that is, she was all by herself over there. And now, if a woman will be running there, all the men are there, and they will be seeing, and it's against the satar, the covering that Islam is applying, and the hijab that Islam is requiring for women. So that's how careful Islam is about that hijab and the rulings of hijab. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam went on Marwa, and over there he made the dua facing the Qibla, just the way he did it in Safa, or on Safa. And this was 1 round. Coming back to Safa, this is the 2nd round. So he finished the 7 rounds in this manner. This was the end of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam's sa'i. At that time, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam made this announcement to all the Sahaba ridwanullahi alayhim ajma'een, that any person who did not bring animal with him for slaughtering should, now the order is different, should finish his ihram. This is the end of those people's ihram, should make it just a umrah, and then you can put the ihram on again for Hajj later on. I will not be able to do it. لو استقبلت من أمري ما استدبرت لما سقت الهدي. If I knew what I know now, I would not have brought the animals with me, and I would have taken my ihram off also. But since I brought the animals with me, because of that the ruling for me is, and for anyone who brought the animals with him from Medina, the ruling for us is, we cannot take our ihram off anymore. But for those who did not bring the animal with them, they should take the ihram off now and make it just a umrah. What was the reason for this? The reason for this was, in the days of Jahiliyyah, they used to consider umrah in the days of Hajj as one of the worst sins. This was a major sin for them, according to their understanding, to perform umrah during the days of Hajj. And what are the days of Hajj? Shawwal, which means starting from the day of Eid, after Ramadan. It's not Eid al-Adha. Starting from the day of Eid after Ramadan. So Shawwal, the whole month of Shawwal, the whole month of Hajjah and Dhul Qa'dah, and 10 days of Dhul Hajjah. Shawwal, Dhul Qa'dah, and Dhul Hajjah. 10 days of it. These are called the days of Hajj. They used to consider Umrah during these days as one of the major sins in Islam, or in their according to their understanding. So even Sahaba had a similar understanding that it may be a sin to perform Umrah during these days because they are called the days of Hajj. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam wanted that thought to be out of their minds, and he really wanted to just kill it totally. So therefore, he's telling them, now you have to just make it a Umrah, so that everyone will realize how important it is for us to understand that Umrah is allowed during these days. And now, of course, these people will not feel good that here Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is doing Quran and we are doing Tamattu. They won't feel good, even though it's allowed. But they are not. They want to follow him in every step. They want to do it exactly like he's doing. So this is why he tells them, if I knew things that I know at this time, which means if I had thought about it at that time, I would have just made it a umrah for myself also, did not bring the animals with me. But now I cannot take it off. The second thing was, according to their understanding, when a person comes for Hajj into Makkah Mukarramah, having a relationship with their wives, to them was considered a major sin. Now, as the ihram is off, this is allowed. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam wanted to make it clear that things that are allowed in the Sharia, there is no reason for us to consider it haram. Don't consider these things haram, that Allah have made it halal for you. So Sahaba ridwanullahi alayhim ajma'een, those who did not bring no animal with them, they started taking their ihram off after this umrah, which means they are shaving their head. Some of them are cutting the hair short, some of them are shaving the head. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam at this point, he made this dua for them. Allahumma arhamil muhalliqeen. Ya Allah, have rahmah and mercy on those who are shaving their head. Sahaba ridwanullahi ajma'een, some of them who were cutting it short, they said, wal muqassirina ya Rasulullah, and make dua for those who are cutting it short too, ya Rasulullah. But again he makes the same dua, Allahumma arhamil muhalliqeen. Ya Allah, have rahmah and mercy on those who have shaved their head. Again they said, wal muqassirin ya Rasulullah, and those also ya Rasulullah who have cut it short. And he says, Allahumma arhamil muhalliqeen. Ya Allah, have rahmah on those who have shaved their head 3 times. And then again they said, wal muqassirin. He says, okay, wal muqassirin. They are getting at least 3 times more rahmah from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as a result of the dua of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, those who would shave it totally, comparing to those who are cutting the hair short and they are not shaving it totally.